The GTX 1650. Yeah, so you shouldn't get this card. I'm gonna go over some benchmarks anyway, and some alternatives to this card that you should probably look at if you're in the market for this. The GTX 1650 is the newest entry in Nvidia's new lineup. It retails from around $150 to $250 depending on the specific model, and it's equipped with 896 CUDA cores that run at a clock speed of 1485 to 1665 MHz and has 4 GB of GDDR5. Some things you should know right off the bat. This thing has no ray tracing, and it uses the older NVEC codec, so it's a hardware feature for Nvidia cards, and it uses the older Volta version. So all the other Turing cards uses the Turing version. So you have none of the improvements of that on this card. So that means streamers, anybody that wants a low power card to encode video, at least through hardware, is pretty much screwed with this card because it's the older version. So there's no point in getting this thing. So we have PCIe power, and then it comes in at a 6-pin and an 8-pin. Now, I wouldn't go out and go buy an 8-pin and overclock it, because it's probably not going to overclock any better than if it had a 6-pin, and even that is not going to clock a whole lot better than PCIe power. And if you get any of the cards I recommend later on in the video, overclocking this thing is kind of irrelevant anyway. So yeah, that's power. So you probably want to see what this card actually does in games, right? So I have some benchmarks for you, so we'll get to those now. And all these benchmarks was done with a 9900K at 5.2 gigahertz. Both the 780 Ti and this card were both beaten by a 1060, and that's just $20, $30 cheaper than this thing, depending on which model you get, $100 cheaper. So that puts the 1060 leaps and bounds ahead of this card as well. So if you're looking to get a newer card, not a used card, don't get this. If you're looking for something in this price range, get something like a RX 570. It's almost always cheaper, and it performs better both stock and overclocked. You could also get a used 1060. They're usually cheaper, $130, $150. Arguably the same price point as the cheap versions of this, and you would be better off for it. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense where it's priced at right now. So it's $150 to $250. And at that price point, streamers aren't interested in it because it doesn't have the new hardware encoder, and they could just get a 1060 and it would be better than this, right? So I'm not sure where Nvidia is coming from this. If you wanted just a display output, as in you just wanted to put video on a screen from a computer, you can get GT 710s all day long for $50 and less. So like $50, $30. Now, maybe Nvidia wants to release a 1650 Ti, and they want a 1650 before that. I don't know. I don't know why a 1650 is required. Just release the Ti as a 1650. Unfortunately, the 1650 is kind of a dud. So I hope this video is helpful for you that were looking at the 1650, and unfortunately it's just not a good buy. You should get an RX 570 instead, or a 1060, or any number of other cards. So until next time, bye.